Okay, this is a video, another yet video about one of these tests. Now, if you go to if you request these resources, go to Chapter 1, Project Finance, Financial Model Interviewing Exams. You can get these ones, and this one's going to be a semi-annual case. Okay, and just one second, I've got to hide. So let's work through this at first. Now, the reason I'm working on this test, I don't know why I'm working on it. It's kind of challenging. It's good for me to see what you poor people have to put up with in your life. And I totally can understand the frustration and everything else. But I'm going to emphasize something. If you go to goddamn whatever Mazdars and pay a bunch of money for some crap or other whatever F1 and F9 or somebody, and you don't use generic macros and don't try to do it as simply as possible and think you're good because you took some stupid class in your MBA student and you think you know Excel. Shh, don't pay attention and do it right and forget some of the crap you learned. Everybody I have seen said, "Oh, I know. Oh, I just need help with fancy sculpting. I just need that." What you need to do is race through in an incredibly fast speed some of the basics. Now, this one has the reason I'm doing this. This has some. It has. We have 2 years of construction basically, and in our 2 years of construction, we have 400 million euros. Put everything in millions. Don't start saying something's in thousands, something's in euros. Don't do that. We're going to put an S curve in, and we're going to structure the inputs really efficiently, and then we have a 20-year PPA agreement, to purchase power agreement, whatever, 100% of the capacity, whatever that means. They didn't do that. Operations begin 1 January 2025. The development company will receive contract payment for those 20 years. Okay. Nothing. So far, the bad thing is the monthly stuff. And that's what we're doing. Revenues payments are semi-annually. Oh shit. Okay, an upfront payable 1 January, 5 million for all the fees and all that junk. Operating costs during construction are 100,000, not million, and then 350,000. So put everything in euros. Reference date for revenues is this. So we start inflating at different dates. This is so much about dates. 100% on operating costs, 30% on the inflation, and it's all 2%. And okay, debt, they have 80% gearing, leverage. Okay, during the construction period. Oh, shit, what they did is they said they have a circular reference here. They might not. It might not because they don't have fees. Debt will, you have several banks. Debt will cover any capitalized interest since there are no revenues. So the debt will have to fund the interest and the whatever, the basic payment. A different interest rate pre and post construction. This is interesting. They have not some sculpting, but it's different. They have an 80% gearing, and then they have the most inefficient sculpting you could ever imagine, which is computing the DSCR, and then basically they don't tell you how long the debt is. So that's going to be happening. And where do they say 20% of all capex upfront costs during construction are funded during equity injection? So they want equity. They don't say. Uh, 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 they don't say it. Equity injection start at the financial close date. Is that January 23? Okay, so they have everything. They don't tell you if it's pro rata funded or equity upfront funded. That's the only thing they don't tell you. Let's assume 20% of all capex upfront are funded using equity. That's fine. That doesn't tell you. Equity injection start. Well, it could be pro rata, or it could be all equity. And do they say it? I don't think they say it. So it's a shitty write up as usual, but they're like obsessed because some asshole in the company said, let's test whether they do the construction. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, now, number one, please, if they send you a test and you're supposed to do this yourself, open Excel, which is taking a heck of a lot of time to open, and it says, good evening, that's my name there, and what in the heck is going on here? Oh no. What's going on there with my Excel? Oh no. Come on. Okay, I got it. Okay, hello. Let's open generic macros. That's available on my website right up front. Click this one to get it started. You get the pink little thing, you got to go to the properties and change that, and then go to press Control N. Let's start a new sheet. Now they wanted 3 sheets, so they wanted inputs in the first sheet. Now when you do the inputs, start with the timing and put the financial close. I don't know how to make myself spell a little better. Now, do this kind of stuff and shut up and do it. And put the date here. And put 1/1/2023. That's what we did. And that was our financial close date. If you look at this one, that's my passwords. 1 January 2023 to December 31, 2024. So what you could do is, if you want, put the date right here and then construction end. Okay, and then don't think you're fancy with these Excel commands, but there is a date diff, and it doesn't even show up really here. And you put you put the construction end, which is 12/31/2024, and don't, just because you're in the U.S., come on, use the common dates, and then put construction months. I think I might suggest something to you. Just type it however you want and let Excel do the F7 for the spell check. DIF. Date diff. Okay, equal date diff. Oh, shoot, I'm starting bad. Okay, and let's put the start and the end and comma M like this. It gives you 23 months, but it's actually, we really have to add 1 to those months. Okay, Shift Control W. I'll use Shift Control W. Okay. And so put the units there. These kind of things are really important. And then after that, let's put the operation date and put the date. Whoops. And they said keep it all nice and flexible. So I guess, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this and we'll do this. Okay, we'll make it this plus 1 day. Okay, that's fine. All right, and so yeah, I think that. And then we have the PPA period, and we want to make this really flexible. And they said, how do we get the IRR up, which is really complete crap. And then I would put, so they said that was 20 years. We can remember that. Okay, and then put, it's like your death date. It's post PPA, something like that. That's when you hit your next part of your being after you die. Why don't you use eDate and then put this times 12, and that some people would say that's really bad because you didn't put 12 in here. So if you really want to do that, maybe, if you really have to show that, put months in year and put months, and for that put 12. This is so stupid, I hate to do this, and then Shift Control F3, and then after you put Shift Control F3, now I hope you're saying, oh man, that guy's, and then take this and do it fast. If it's going to slow you down, don't do it. And then after that, we start with our construction, and they had a total cost, and they had that, and yet put this in. Don't you dare put it in millions or thousands or anything else. That would be the worst thing you can do. And I'm just gonna call because I gotta go. Just a minute, I gotta turn this off. Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, I took a little bit of a break here, a lot of break, and I'm trying to catch up. So please, don't put it in euro millions or euro thousands or dollar hundreds, whatever. Put it in the real currency. You're going to get confused if you don't do that. I don't care what they taught you in school. Okay, so once we have the total construction cost, now if you really do this fancy, you'd put the time series variables in another sheet. But why don't you call this input C, just so well, it's not really input C now anyway. So now let's put our month here, and put a little. So we've got 24 months of construction at least. I would start with a 0, Alt EIS. If you don't use this, it's crazy, and you're going to say, oh, I could do it better. Listen, I'm going to put it to 25. I'm going to go all the way to 25. And then we've got to kind of manually put in the timing of the construction. Now, I suppose I should have done this over here, and that's because we can get a total to make sure that our total matches this. And let's do the same thing. So this is going to be a little bit painful and manual, but after we put the revenues and the capex, we've got 2 in 1, 2, 30, 10, 34, 10. So 1 to 2 is 34. Ooh, and I can't remember anything in my old age. 34 million. Put it like that. Let's press Shift Control R and Shift Control W, and let's get it set up. So we have 2 of 34 million, and then it's not that bad really, is it? Then we have 3 to 10 of 10 million. And what they're basically doing is, you can call this a S curve. Okay, and and we go all the way to 10 now. Okay, we're getting there. And then they have, let's see what they have in 11 to 15 is 34 again. So they kind of have a big expenditure up front, small to get the thing ready, then big, and then small at the end. That could be an S curve. So 11 to 15 is 34. Let's put those in. Okay, Shift Control R, and then 16 to 24 is 10 million. Okay, you could have all remembered this. And then I put a very, very last one, 25.0. Okay. And you can have it all flexible. If you, I'm just going to put construction, and then we'll put that in euro, and we'll put a little sum Shift Control V for Victor, Shift Control W, and I've got something wrong. Okay, good. Should I turn it off? 34. Let's see. One. Is this? No, that wouldn't be right. Oh shoot, we've got an extra 8 million, and I think we probably put it in correctly. And they operating cost during construction 100K, 5 million for due diligence costs. I wonder. Let me see. 3 to 10. Let's just double check. 3 to 10, 11 to 15, and 16. Okay. 3 to 10, 11 to 15, and 16 to, what can we do when people who write the test screw up? I don't know what to do. You can just have to, you're going to have to make a little note that the actual cost is 2008, and then we have some other costs. Let's just put our other costs in. Oh, this is a pain. Okay. Oh, I hate this one. How many of these tests have you done where some idiot at the company says, "Oh, we better test that they can do timing, because timing is a big deal," and then they can't even write the stuff down correctly. Okay, so some of these upfront costs payable by the development company at financial close, 5 million for due diligence, advisory, financial. These are other costs. Now we've already got more than 4 million, so we have. Let's put other due diligence, etc. Okay, I'm gonna just Control D. And then let's do that same thing. Put it right here, and that was 5. And then they have the other thing, and they're getting into accounting a little bit now, is they have some operating costs during construction. Those are capitalized. You treat them basically like a CapEx. Okay, you don't expense them. So they're 100K, 1,000. This is million, this is 1,000, and then after construction, they go up to 350,000 K per month. And let's just write that down. So we have 100K per month, and I hope you're seeing that. And I learned this thing the hard way. Operating costs during construction, and don't worry about conserving title space or thinking you have to make some fancy looking title. And there was 10,000, not 10 million, 10,000. Shift Control W, Shift Control R, Shift Control W. That's from generic macros, but I put one extra here, so we have that 10. Was it 10K or 100K? What was it? It was 100K per month. Okay, and let's fix that. Okay, so that did look up. Okay, again, take that away. And you put the 0 here because we're going to use lookup, and they might even moan about the way you use lookup and XLOOKUP when you do this. But let's keep going. I don't know what to say if you have to defend yourself by using efficient Excel techniques, because the idiots who write this at the company are not very good. And this, you can almost tell this is a not very good company, because they're asking such shit questions. Let's put some revenues here, and then let's put some operating. And and that's going to be anything in the world is going to have these things. And we put operating cost per month. Okay. And again, it was 350,000. Don't forget, we're going to have to convert this and multiply this by 6. And I think we should probably do that in the main sheet. Now, if you let's continue. This is the hardest part, almost, getting all this silly stuff in here. So we've got that covered. We've got this stuff covered. We've got some inflation and debt to put in, and let's put our revenues. We've got a 20-year take or pay for 100% of the capacity. Fine. Operations begin for the contract. And then we have the development company will receive a 40 million, not 1,000, million annual payment. So let's just put our annual payment in. Okay. And maybe we should have put euro p.m. just to show everybody that we understand that they're trying to trick us with this kind of crap. And so let's put our come on, 40 million, okay? And they're made the actual payments are made semi-annually. So you go and put 40 million. Now it really bothers me when somebody asks me questions about this. They say, "Oh, I can put all these things in. Oh, I can do all of that," and then they screw up. You screw up, and you waste so much time by getting confused of what's annual, semi-annual, and everything else. And then we have some inflation. Okay, now so this is here, and then we put the inflation. So they have a reference date for inflation. Again, some silly young modeler thing. Oh, I'm so cool. And so what? Let's go down here and put some macro inputs. And the first one, let's put the reference date, inflation date, which means that, and put a date here, fine. And they say that date is basically the COD date. I'm going to just copy it, and just in case, we can paste special as value, Shift Control 3. Okay, get used to Shift Control 3. That's an Excel. That's an Excel one, not not from generic macros. And then we have the inflation rate as 2%, and then inflation is applied to revenues and costs during the very first year. No, the second year. Oh, this should have been changed, I guess. The second year of operation. So we don't have in inflation, and the period they do this, inflation is applied 100% to the costs. You could, the typical way you would do this is inflate it month by month, and then inflate the other things annually, but we'll do it simply. We'll do it annually, everything. So we put in our inflation rate. Okay. And let's put that as a percent, P dot A and 2%. And then we can put Shift Control P, and then we can put a percent of payment inflated. And that might be the case. I think it's a dangerous way to think about things. And we put 30%, Shift Control P, and then for the operating cost, percent inflated, and we put our 100%. Okay? And so we're going through this, and then finally we put our, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put all of these things, I'm going to move them over, and oops, and you'll see, okay, no, I'm not going to, not for now. And then let's put the financing, and we have debt financing percent. Now, if you notice, they did not have a repayment period. You might say, oh, why? How could you not have? And then they have interest rate during construction, and that's a P dot A, and then they have Control D, interest rate during operation, and they have a P dot A. Now, what they did here is something that's very unrealistic in a way. So they have 80%, we've got that. Debt will cover capitalized interest 6% during construction. It's usually the opposite, because you have a parent guarantee. It's like my daughter. If she needs some money, she can email me. So you're taking the credit risk of the parent probably during construction and not during operation, but they have it backwards, the idiots. And then they put a 1.2 times DSCR for the repayment without a repayment. So they put 6% here. Shift Control P, and 5.5%, Shift Control P, okay, and then they have the target DSCR for repayment. Now that's going to be the really big deal, is that that's going to repay. We might repay the debt very early, and if you want to know what the real upsides are, there aren't too many. If you say, oh, I'm going to start renegotiating the PPA agreement, I'm going to make it longer, okay, fine, you can do all that. But the upside would be two big ones: refinancing and selling the project earlier. Those are the real ones. And then, did they have anything else? Did we miss anything else? 20% equity up front, but we had the equity stuff. So then we want a flexible model, and this is bullshit. Construction and cash flows. This shows you the person who made this took some bullshit kind of stuff from Kenny and all these people who say keep a construction period time in one sheet and an operation time in the other. What we're going to do instead is we're going to move the financing, and then we can make it so we conform to these. But Control-Alt-C first, and let's not put anything on the top, and let's just color our sheet. And don't waste time. You waste time if they give you a chance to do this yourself, and you waste time coloring the sheets. That is criminal, okay? And because I've got the thing on this takes more time than it should. Okay, good. Okay, so we show you exactly what's this, and if this is what I didn't like, is that we have too many titles, but I'll leave it for now just so you see it. And let's, why don't you even get nicer and take out the grid lines. Okay, so you've shown that you lay out the inputs correctly, and then let's put our model. and I forgot what they said to call it. Now do the thing. I say this is the most important thing. Make them really nice and small. Start with our timing and put a period here, a period, and then we'll have pre-COD, and that's going to be the biggest thing here, to put pre-COD, and then we put months in period, and after we put the months in the after we put the months in the period, that will be 6 or 12 months. We'll put start of period, and then end of period, and then PPA period, and these are going to be flags and dates. And I'll bet you anything the people who designed this weren't thinking that we're going to do this. They were thinking fancier, but you have 24 months of construction, so that's period by period. 20 years, so that's 40 plus 24, that's 44, but let's make it 60. So Alt EIS, please, 60. You think you know your shortcuts? If you don't use EIS, you don't know shit. Sorry about that. I'm being really arrogant. And then let's make this a flag, and we'll have how many months do we have of construction? And we needed that 24 months right up here. So we're going to make a flag, and instead of doing an if, don't do an if, please. And I did this wrong, by the way. Alt EIS, tab 60. Let's do it like this. Maybe I have two 60s at the end now. Okay. Put an equal sign up here and make it less than or equal to 24. Yes, we've got 24 months of pre-COD. F4. Shift Control B, Shift Control R, no if statement, and it goes out here. And then we're going to make this a different color. That's really where the thing will come in handy. And then let's put here another. This is months. So we either have 1 month in the period in the first one, or 6 months. Now, I think what we should do is if we do it a little fancier, we should have right here, to make the model really flexible, because that's what they wanted, months pre-COD. And you should know that COD is that you basically have a cash flow, and you have months post COD. And just put months, Control D, and we'll just make it 1 month and then 6 months. So we have it semi-annually. So you take this one and you put the 1 month in here, and then the 6 month in here, and we have run out of space, because if we're doing a nice model, you want to definitely always show up here a sum column, and these are the driver. Okay, and then you can get a little fancier with the units, but these units are over here. Some people would put some people would do this. Well, no, I'm not going to do that, because that's bullshit. Who cares what? And then put equal if. You just use an if statement, and 1 is true, 0 is false. You better know that. And if it's pre-COD, you go over here and press the F4. And if you're really going to waste your time, you press the F4 3 times and all that. So you've got an if statement. So we've got a 1 month period, and then we get to a 6 month period. And then you want to maybe make one more column, because we want to start. The very first period we're going to start with is going to be this date minus 1. That's our very first date. And you take this date and add 1 day to it. And then you can use EO month or E date. Who in the hell cares? If you start getting into a debate, E date versus EO month, I'm going to use E date. I'm going to go up to this date. I'm going to add 1 month to it. And then it gives me that, Shift Control 3. And then don't put, I got to put American dates in. Oh, shit. And then we have these dates in. And if you have something like that, Control Spacebar and just make it a little bit wider. And don't waste time on all this crap. And if you go over here, it better be the case that when we switch from 1 to 6, we've got 1 January 25, and that's our COD date, and we're all okay. And then you put the PPA period. So this is a date, and this is a date, and the PPA period is going to be a flag. It's like our operating period. And once you have that, you can put the start of the PPA period here, and then put the end of the PPA period. And when you do that, the end is not going to be part of it, so you put equal and you go up. I use the 1. This has got to be greater than or equal to this one, and this date, the same date, has got to be less than, not less than or equal to this one. Shift Control B, Shift Control R, and this time press Shift Control, whoops, up. And I forgot this, fine, Shift Control R, and I did it wrong because we've got only 36 semi-annual periods when we should have had. This is 25. Oh no. Just a minute. I'm gonna press Shift Control V here. We've got 24 months here. We don't need it on here. And let's go forward. And do we not have enough date? Oh, we didn't. I didn't. I'm sorry. I should have made many more days. And that's good. You can see now that this the importance of putting a sum column in here. Alt-DIS. Let's go to 100 and whatever 50. Okay, now we're okay, and I'm going to, and this is the kind of stuff you're going to do, but if you're really fast, Shift Control R, you've got it, and you can say, oh, screw this, but we might as well make them all a little bit bigger. Okay, if they're tiny, little bit different, who gives a crap? Okay, and let's put now the dates are so important in all of this stuff, Alt WFF. Okay, and once we have the dates, then they made such a big deal of construction. We could start with construction and CapEx, or we could start with revenues and OpEx. Let's put our CapEx, and the first thing let's do is put construction. Period. Now, the reason you're going to put the construction period here is let's just go back one and add how about this? We don't even need this, but let's take that out. Screw that. Let's put CapEx. Now, I'm not even going to use that total thing they gave us. I have no idea. That was just a mistake. And let's put it in euro. Okay, and this time, use the lookup. If you use VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP, in fact, I'm going to even use XLOOKUP to show I'm cool. And you say, okay, let's look up on this, and then let's look up on the entire month up here, and then let's look up on the entire construction here, and then you put comma 0 if we can't find it, and our match model is number 1. Okay, and Shift Control W, Shift Control R, and we better do the whole stupid thing again. And what did I do here? This all worked. And what happens here? We oh shoot. I'm gonna do a regular lookup. I'm gonna look at that later. Okay, so don't worry about getting too fancy. That was a crime what I just kind of did. Let's look up on the month, and then this, and you better practice this. Screw the VLOOKUP, screw the rest of it, and make sure everything worked, and put your sum here, and you tell these idiots in a note that they gave you construction costs that did not add up to the ones they said they were going to do. So let's put this. I'm sure we're going to need a little space later, and let's worry about this kind of crap. But it looks good, and if you can just do that, and then we put upfront costs, and put that in euros again. And this time, our upfront costs, they gave. Oh no, let's do the same thing. Put equal lookup. It's just as easy. Using lookup is just as easy as using the and practice this. Shift Control W, Shift Control R, and again, you don't use the tools, and they allow you to use the tools. And how silly would that be? And then let's put the OPEX expense during construction. Okay, and don't be chintzy and say, oh no, I can't make the titles that wide. Somebody told me in my business school class I can't do that. Put equal lookup, okay, and you go up to this one, and you go up to the month, and then you go to the operating cost during construction, okay? Shift Control R, okay, and just make sure we didn't kind of put it after the COD period, and that's all okay. And we can put total construction expenditures. Okay, and just Alt equals sum these up, Shift Control R, and then if you want, what I do is I'm going to make Shift Control G instead of Shift Control R. That's the first thing we need. Okay, and let's call this construction expenditures. Okay, after we put the CapEx, maybe, if you have contracts for, by the way, let's just do this again. And if it takes long, I don't really care. But this is when you color it now, if you did it like me, if you put the stuff in B, A is the, you can call that the elevator, or if you're in England, call it the lift column, okay? Just, I put the titles in column B. Okay, come on, hurry up. This does not take that long, really. Okay, it's just a stupid little video thing. Okay, so we put some nice titles in. This is an input. We've got different colors for the flags, and Hetty, my friend, told me that she was behind all of this stuff, making sure you use that, and some of us, 2 or 3 people in the world, actually use this. Okay, and then we put, unfortunately, that was a little true. Let's put our operating expense. Now, before we put our operating expense, maybe we should put some macro operating. How about this? Let's put operating expense and revenues. So we have an O&M contract, and let's first put our inflation index. And I think what we should do is put in inflation flag, and don't be chintzy with the flags. Don't say, oh, why would you not do this all in one column? And then for the inflation rate, so you could almost argue that I should have put the inflation inputs above. We're not going to start this till here. So you go and you say this one is greater than or equal to this one up here, and put it as a flag, Shift Control B, no if statement, Shift Control R. Okay, and when you redo the coloring, it'll all work. And if you want to check, you've got this starting here. Okay, and then if we're really, really careful, they said that the inflation does not occur. The inflation does not occur until the second year, until this year. So what I would do is, in this case, change this to, instead of greater than or equal to, just simply greater than. And then the next thing, you put the a month of inflation, which so we're going to attribute only in one out of the every 2 months. This is all about this, and let's put that's going to be a flag, and let's put equal month of the equal month, and it's the month of the COD date. So what I just did by putting 1 in here, and before we do that, how about we could put months anyway, but let's put month here. Okay, and when you put the month in, just put 1 month, that's fine, and just put equal month. You can put equal month, equal hour. Hour is the really best one to use almost. So, okay, so we're only going to inflate this when 2 things occur. It has to be greater than that first date, and this has to be equal to 1. So we put and, you just put this one, you just put a 0 or 1, that's all you do, and then you put this one has to equal this, and you show, I can do this kind of shit. Okay, and so if we go forward, we're just going to first inflate here, and then not inflate here, and then not inflate here. And then we can put annual inflation rate applied. Now, I don't know why this is a completely different one than so many others. They're testing your knowledge of being quick on the little stupid crap, and we're going to use this 2% inflation. Okay. And what we do is then just take this one. So they're kind of testing you on the flags, and press F4, Shift Control P, Shift Control R, and then we'll put inflation index. And don't be chintzy. Do not be chintzy with oh no, this is Shift Control Q. Okay. No, and I did this wrong. Start with a 1 here. This is this times 1 plus the inflation rate. And you could have done this 1,000 different ways. You could have put this all into one really long formula, and we keep the inflation rate the same and then inflated it in a period. And that seems to be what they're looking for. So let's put our revenues. Okay, and then let's maybe put revenues without inflation. And make sure that you use euro per, how about semester? And that means per semi-annual period. So you could do 2 things. You could get fancy, but what I would suggest here, they say an annual payment, I'm going to divide it by 2. That you could say, oh, you can't do that. You got to put some kind of range name in it here. And so this, they get these revenues, F4, and you multiply that by the PPA period. Okay, and then let's put Shift Control like that. Okay, and we don't have to worry about that. And then you put revenues subject to inflation or something like that. Okay, and you, let's do this one, and this they gave you the 30%. Okay, so I suppose I'm gonna just put this one and multiply it by this one, and then we put down here revenues not subject to inflation, and just take this one minus this one, okay? And then now we put inflated revenues. Let's put this here. So I am kind of being a little more careful. It's this one multiplied by our inflation index. And you can see that if you keep the formula simple, and then let's put total revenues. And maybe I'm skipping a step, but that's this one plus the revenues not subject to inflation. Okay, so they're trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do with this thing. Okay, so we've got our capex, and we've got our revenues, and our revenues begin here, and we've got 6 million. Is that only 30%? Okay, and this is the total because we're adding the 14 million to it, and then we've got some inflation, and then it stops here, so we could make a longer PPA period and all that if we wanted to. Okay, and then let's look at operating expenses. And we do the same thing. This time for the operating expenses, we have our 350 per month. So let's multiply that by 6 to get it per semester, and we're going to inflate everything. So all we have to do here is put, oh, come on, okay, operating costs without inflation, and oh God, for me, people try to get all fancy. Oh, how do we do sculpting? How do we do all this stuff without just really carefully laying out? If I was looking at one of these things, the first thing I would want to see is, do you do everything right? And let's multiply it by 6. That you might get in trouble for that, the way we did months. Maybe you could put semi-annual period, months in semi-annual period, or something like that. So we didn't forget to get that, and then we'll just take this one, press F4, and this time multiply it by the operating switch. And if you keep the operating switch right up there really clearly, it'll be fine. And then we'll put down here Control D, and then you put with inflation. And we'll apply the same. They didn't tell us if the inflation occurs monthly or everything else, so let's just assume we use exactly the same inflation index. And we can even, if you want to get real fancy, you can write a note that you're so smart you can do this. And you know, it might be good to Shift Control V for Victor on a couple of these things. Don't use generic macros, fine, and then waste your time, and you won't have any time to do anything else. That's what's going to happen. And we have this many revenues. And up here, I should have pressed Shift Control W, because keep the kind of the, don't get screwed up. So we have 851 revenues, 102 expenses. You can say, oh, we have a really high margin. Bullshit. And then why don't you go down here and get your EBITDA? But before that, let's call this free cash flow and project IRR. Now I know when some of these when some of these fancy firms do it, they compute the project IRR at the end. It is disgusting. Do this. This is, by concept, it's supposed to be done before we get to equity. So let's put EBITDA first, and then put less capex. Now, luckily they didn't put they made some vague, stupid kind of comments about U.S. tax law at the end. That was an idiot kind of thing. You can look up and see what the U.S. tax law is, and you can get this investment tax credit and all of that. But just to make that kind of thing, it has nothing to do with this model. So let's be really asinine, call it FCFF, free cash flow, just so we sound smart, okay? And so let's get the revenues minus the expenses. Maybe I should just, to do this, let's put an underline so we know that there were always 3 things here. Always 3 things. Shift Control G. There are always three things here, and then we go up and get our CapEx, which we put a nice little underline here, and then we get the difference is our free cash flow. Okay, and let's do this one. Shift Control G. Okay, so that's all of our timing. And then we cannot use regular IRR. So let's put project. And now I'm not gonna make our summary page much. Project. I'm gonna have one comment on it really, and that is that these assholes. I'm sorry to say that, like that, but they did not ask you to make a graph. They asked you the DSCR. Who gives a crap? Because that's going to be flat anyway. Graph of debt service, separate interest and principal. Who gives a crap about that? We're going to calculate this project IRR. You'd call that the unlevered IRR, okay? The levered IRR is the equity IRR. And they don't have the only graph that any bank would care about, which is the CFADS versus the debt service. Unbelievable. So I'm going to refuse to do this. I just can't do this. I'm sorry. Some young person who thinks they're fancy modeling and doesn't understand finance made this test up. So you put XIRR, not IRR. And then when you do it, you select all the things, and then you go over here and you select the ending period because all the action occurs at the end. And this is kind of interesting. We get 5% IRR, which is not very good because, oh crap, oh man, because the interest rate is 5.5, and maybe I made a mistake. What could I have done wrong? I don't even see what I did wrong, and because we're not gonna the gearing is not gonna help very much, and maybe. They put too much cost here or something like that. But okay, so what kind of IRR did we get? 5.7 versus 5.5 interest rate. It's going to be, the equity IRR is not going to be much higher than this. And then that's kind of interesting. So after we do this, we put in the financing. Okay, now, here's how I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to go ahead and start with a source, uses and sources. Now that this is debatable. Summary. You don't have to do this, but somebody did this a long time ago. And then let's put our total CapEx, including OpEx, during construction. Okay, and now what they did is they wanted to show, and this is just in euros this time, because and let's get it up here. So let's just get the sum of all of the CapEx that we did up here, and I don't know what to say about this number. My suggestion is maybe somebody can find I made a mistake. Shift Control G, I'll put there. Maybe I made some kind of mistake on this, but we're really, if the project IRR is barely higher than the cost of the debt, your equity IRR, maybe it gets up to 6.5%, but not much more. Okay, and then we put interest during construction, and this is kind of what they put total uses, and this could lead to a famous circular references, which is my real passion in life. And then so this is uses. Let's just call this uses. Can I do this? And then let's put sources. So now we also, the good news is we have it, and we put debt financing and put in euro, and come on, wasting time with that, and let's move this over to here, and let's press. If you press Shift Control W, you'll get it. And the reason I'm doing this now, whoops, what happened there? I didn't know you could do that. This is we'll put that total uses, and then for the source, what's going on with this? Do I have some? Oh, God darn it. Let's go to the debt financing. And they said, just take this debt financing, including this. This is they tried to make a big deal out of that one. And then let's put equity financing just below this. Okay. And if you want to get fancy, fine. Who cares about that? And that's the total minus the debt. Equity is just what's left over, and we put total total sources. Now, what you might have to do here later is, because they were so jerk off and whatever, and they wanted a construction sheet in a different sheet. How horrible! How absolutely horrible to do it. So you might have to separate this out a little bit to be consistent with what they did. Now, once you have that, the summary, let's put the financing during construction, which they seem to want that along with so we'd have to make a timeline on another page, a timeline on another page, move some of this to the other page, a waste of time. Maybe I would say, screw you. No, I wouldn't do that, because then you won't get the job. Okay, and maybe you could just do it all on this page, pull some of the other stuff over. That I refuse to do. Let's put the total CapEx. This is going to be month by month. Okay, and we can just put this in euros, and then that's going to be, well, let's get it right now. That's going to be this number. Okay, and then the thing that worried me was that we might have a circular reference. If we have a circular reference, and if it's a test, I suggest, at least for this video, maybe I'll make a second one, I would strongly suggest just using the iteration button in Excel. But I don't know if we're going to have this. Now, you add the interest, IDC, I don't care. IDC, interest during, I don't care. Construction. I never wrote a text message with this, but we don't know this yet. That's why we have the possibility of a circular reference, and then we put total funding needs. Okay, so in a tiny way, even though I've been complaining about this, in a way, it's an interesting kind of test where they don't test much finance. They're kind of testing that some if you can play with the dates and all that, because maybe that's what your horrible life will be like at the beginning. And then we put this is the you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to start with funding requirements. And then let's put financing. And then the place to start with is you could put total equity commitment. And now you can see why I do it like this. It is if you, oops, and there are different styles, and if you use a different style, who really would give a crap? But this is the total equity we've committed to put into our project. And I just press F4 and just flatten it, okay? And then below that, you put less equity already funded, and then remaining equity commitment. And then you go down here and you put opening equity funded, equity add equity funded this period, closing equity funded. Now the reason I'm doing it like this is to show you, and then we have, after equity, we have remaining remaining REM funding from debt, which, so it's like this thing called a cash flow waterfall. You start with your funding needs. I'm gonna press it, and then you get how much equity you funded, and the remaining amount is going to come from debt. And this remaining amount that comes from debt, when you add it all up, it better be this thing up here. But the only reason it's going to be this thing up here is if we included this. And why don't then let's put the debt balance. Okay, and for the debt balance, let's we could split up they seem to want you to split up this, but I think let's do it differently. Let's start with the repayment. And to get the repayment, they wanted to do a debt service coverage ratio. So put up here the cash flow available for debt service. Now the guy who did this, or woman, they don't know anything, because they are going to have you they're going to have you do this with the most idiot, horribly inefficient way you could do this, which is to pay off the debt too quickly, because we're going to get a minimum, and then we'll have the debt service, and then after we have the debt we'll put less the interest, because debt service is equal to interest plus principal, and then we'll put the repayment. And then over here we'll put the opening balance, and we'll add notice how we add the debt draw, which is just that stuff up there, and then I'm going to put it as a positive, even though you object, debt repayment, and then we'll put a closing balance. And then we'll put the interest rate, and we got to really be careful. How about let's go up here and put the interest rate during construction, and don't forget to divide that by 12, and interest rate during operation, and don't forget that to divide that by 2, because it's semi-annual. And then we can put the periodic interest rate, and then we'll put the interest cost, and then we'll divide that by to interest during construction, and we can call the rest interest during operation. Now once you have that, the rest is going to be really easy. Cash flow waterfall. And for the cash flow waterfall, what I would do is I would start with the EBITDA, and that's just going to be on a semi-annual basis, and we can put euros in later than that, but that's really our cash flow less the interest less the repayment, and that gives us our net cash flow, and we'll call that a dividend. And then below the dividend we'll put equity issued, and that's upstairs. The equity issued is this thing we're computing right up here, the equity funded this period, and then we'll get the net equity cash flow, and we'll get the equity IR. Okay, so that's what we'll do, and then we'll be finished. And this looks like a really painful one, and it's not that bad. so the person who made it is going to say, "Oh gosh, if somebody could do that, they're really fancy." Now the trick is on this one, you go down to the opening balance of the equity, and that's number 65. Okay, Shift Control W, and then you say, well, how much do we have left to issue? Now that you could have used pro rata, they didn't even tell you whether to use pro rata or not. Opening balance is always a prior period closing balance. And then equity funded during this period, that's the key thing. It's the minimum of, we can never fund more than we need to, or this famous funding needs. And the funding needs, the interest during construction is from way downstairs. That's where you have a danger of a circular reference, alternate equal. And so what I'm going to do now is just, and then you take the funding needs minus the equity funded up here, and that's the remaining for debt. And now the repayment is just a category, okay? And then we have the cash flow available for debt service. And now in the real world, it gets a little more complicated than this, but we can just take the EBITDA, okay? And then after we take the EBITDA, we can put an equal sign and get our DSCR requirement. And you can start to see we've got only two assumptions left. And we take this one divided by this. Now, they didn't give us. Notice that they didn't give us so this I should have said. DSCR is, they gave you a little formula for DSCR. So the amount of debt service, you reverse it, is the cash flow available divided. I should have explained that. We're going to then we're going to take the interest, and this is going to be the interest during the operations, because we don't pay anything off before operations. So this is way down here. Shift Control W, and then the repay I plus R equals debt service. So the total debt service minus the interest is going to be what's left over. Now the opening balance, I know I'm going fast on this, but that's what I want you to do. You have to be able to practice. The debt draw we have upstairs. We already have the debt draw up here. And then the debt repayment we just defined up here. So the closing balance, I left this as a positive. If you want to make it negative, fine, is this. Now there's going to be a big deal with the debt repayment. This, we're going to have to make this the minimum of what we're computing, or the opening balance. And that's what they did that was so bad, because they're just going to have you keep paying and paying. You notice that they didn't give you a debt turnover. And then we can put our last inputs, the interest rate during construction is this. And let's do it like this, just to be more transparent, divided by 12, or if we can put months there. Remember, I did that, and then the kind of person who made this test would care about something silly like that. And I've got to pause just a minute. Shit. I wish people wouldn't call me when I'm making a video. Okay. I have that phone call. Here's what. Let's take that. Should we multiply that one by the pre-COD period? I think we don't even have to. Okay. And then let's get the post-COD, which is really the issue. The tiny little room we have of our project IRR versus this one. And I'm just going to divide this one by 2. Okay. Shift Control P. Okay. And so yeah, why don't we do it like this? And then let's press F4 on that, and then we'll put, we can do it like this. Take this one, multiply it by the pre-COD period, plus this one multiplied by the post-COD period, okay? Shift Control P. All right, and then our interest cost, we don't differentiate. We take this one and multiply it by the opening balance. Whenever you have any situation, never the average balance. You assume all the payments occur at the end of the period. You assume the repayments, which is correct, occur at the end of the period. That's what you do, and that's exactly what they said. And then you take this number and you multiply it by the pre-COD period to get the interest during construction. You take this one, multiply it by the post-COD period to get the interest during operation. Let's go all the way and get our EBITDA again. Up here. Whoops. Okay. And this EBITDA, this cash flow waterfall, they kind of wanted you to do this, in two different sheets. Oh, God. And then we can put the interest we have, but this time just take the interest during operation, because this whole cash flow waterfall is going to be after the COD. And then take the repayment of the debt, which is this one, which I went through a little bit quickly. Well, the whole thing I did quickly. EBITDA minus this, I'm leaving it as positive. You could put things as negative if you wanted, and that's going to be our dividend. And then we go up to the equity we issue. Up here, the equity we issue is right here. Equity funded this period, okay? And our net equity cash flow is our dividend minus the amount of equity issued. Now, we did not do, okay, I did not do one thing. And what I did not do is go up here, and this is kind of what you will do, and I'm curious to see, I think there's about a 50% chance we don't have a circular reference. We take this interest during construction from below. Now, I don't know if the debt depends on the interest. Yes, I think we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a circular reference because of this. Now, they might want you to resolve this circular reference, but I suggest doing it with the iteration button first, which I hate. I hate more than just about anything. Well, I hate some people who say there's no such thing as climate change a little too. Let's copy all of this across, okay? And so we now what we have is the blah, 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 blah. Here's our financing needs. We issue the equity, that gets finished. We only issue this much equity here, okay, and we haven't added the financing needs. Then we move to the operation, and I think this is just a problem with formatting. You notice that I don't use that silly, asinine, horrible paintbrush. And what happens is we start repaying the debt right here, and our debt repayment comes from a debt repayment is the total debt service we have, which we just take the cash flow, divide it, and again, I've got a problem here, Shift Control W, okay, and we take the total debt service we have, and we take away the interest, and what's left over is the repayment. We can prove that the DSCR is going to be 1.2 in a little while when we'll make our graph. Our interest turns into interest during operation, and let's get everything in a consistent decimal format now, okay, and that's our interest during construction. And then let's get all of this formatted as well, just in case. Okay, and we're really finished. And because this didn't take that long, I get to even kind of review them all for a minute. And why don't we compute the equity IRR before we've accounted for the interest during construction? Now, when we do this, we'll do X IRR. This is, right now, it's going to be overstated because we haven't put the interest during construction in, and we'll put this in, and we get a little bit of a higher number. Whoops, Shift Control 3 up here, Shift Control P, and then And here, let's also, I'm doing the very thing last. Let's put some graphs. And this is what I mean. The one graph that I would suggest you do a blank here and put CFADS and put debt service. Okay, and they didn't ask you for these idiots. What you want to do is put an if statement. If it's the operations, then let's take the closing date. Otherwise, put an NA and open it and close the bracket. And then if you think, oh, I could make graphs better than you and all this, well, good. You can maybe make them prettier. But what we'll do, and of course, I put this in the wrong place. I wanted to put it one above. And take the CFADS up here, which I'll call the EBITDA. Okay, it's the same thing. Shift Control W, Shift Control R, and then take the debt service, which is the interest plus the principal, and do that. And then if you want, you can compute the DSCR. And it better be equal to 1.2 and use an if statement. If this debt service is greater than some tiny little number, 0.1, then take the top divided by the bottom, otherwise leave it false. Do not put 0. And then if you go forward, there it's exactly a 1.2. Graphing that would be like the biggest waste of time ever. But graphing this one would certainly not be a waste of time. So I'm going to press Shift Control right arrow. If you press alternate F1, let's press alternate F1 and get a graph of this. And then let's put an output sheet here. Okay, and let's get this one. Control X, Control V, and let's change the chart type and make it an area chart. And we see that it's taking a long time to repay the debt. Here's our 1.2 times. We don't have a lot of area for refinancing. There's not enough there's not much upside here for this. So we didn't have much room anyway, and that's really because of this. Let's put how about this? I'm just going to make an equal sign and just get our equity IRR and throw it in our graph. Okay, and then let's also, if they really want to show you the principal and the repayment, maybe I'll just do it for now. Let's get the same scale, but this time let's go down here and put repayment and put interest, and just get those two things upstairs from the up there. So the NA, I forgot to tell you, the NA, that means you're not gonna, it's not gonna show up on the X scale. So that's the trick to making this. And if you press alternate F1 again, let's cut this and put this in the output. Okay, and let's go down, and this time let's put interest and repayment, and then we right click, and on this one let's make it an area chart too. Why can't I do that? Change, I want to change all of this, but what the heck? Go to the, where's the area? Okay, and make it a stacked area like that, and you can kind of see that the repayment gets bigger and the interest goes down, which is the classic kind of graph. So we've done everything, and now notice I'm kind of afraid. Now let's do one more thing before we've done this. Control Alt C and do the really important thing, which is coloring the sheet, and we just press the color, and you haven't had to waste a whole lot of time coloring and going to the stupid little paintbrush and copying and pasting with Alt EST or anything like that. Okay, there we go. And sorry about the slowness of this, just because I've got the video turned on. Okay. Okay, we're getting there. it's going through each one and deciding. Now, see, it made these green because they came from the green sheet, and you've shown that you've done all the correct kind of formatting. Okay. Very good. So now we have all of our different sections of our model. And now let's just see what happens when we put in our circular reference. So what you do now is you put this one and you go down and get the interest during construction from right here. Okay. No circular reference yet, and there shouldn't be. And then you put a Shift Control V for Victor to get that. And now it's the dangerous portion. Now I should have been kind of doing this stuff here too. Just do it really on the ones that matter. Shift Control V. Again, you know, if you even have to waste time putting the sum thing, it's going to be a waste. And then you go up here, and then you go up to the I'm afraid here, and I think we're going to have a circular reference. So this thing comes from here, and you have a circular reference. Now there are two ways to do this circular reference, and I'm going to close this video, and I feel horrible about doing this, but if it was a test, you kind of don't waste time, and you go down to options and you go to formulas, and I find this disgusting, and I'll show you we could use a copy paste technique, which is just about as bad, and you might want to even show you can do that, but I'll make a separate video for that one. And what happened? Why do we have the equity already funded? Oh no. Do we have a problem here? Oh, shoot. Just a minute. The funding needs... hang on. This is our... What happened here? This has got to be the opening balance. Why did this just screw up so badly? This has got to be the minimum, and we can't. This was the opening balance, and it took the wrong thing. How interesting. So I'm gonna do a copy and paste, because I've never seen this where we had such a problem. So this is, I'm gonna call this computed. And then I'm going to call the next one fixed. And then I'm going to call a difference. And I really didn't understand this. So what we'll do now is, let's just do this with the iteration button on. I probably made some mistake, but I'm going to, basically this is what we do. We copy computed, paste special as values to fixed. Okay? And let's do it like that. And then we take the difference. And when we take the difference, we Shift Control V, we compute that, and that difference should have been 0. And I have no idea. Maybe the iteration button I'd suggest putting a fixed number here, and then a computed number here. And the only thing we really have to worry about is this. Now our computed number is this one down here, is this one, and I've got the circular reference, and then how about this? I'm going to fix it. Control C, Alt ESV, okay, and then I'm going to make this one equal to fixed instead of computed, and we've got rid of the circular reference. And just to do it really quickly, we put a difference. Now I think what I'm going to do is and that's an enormous difference, by the way. And we go around and around, and we always copy from computed to fixed. Computed is this one, fixed is that one. We go around and around and copy it and copy it and copy it. And so let's put these ones down below, and let's make these range names. Shift Control F3. You should know that a shortcut. And for all you people who think you're too good for all this stuff, because you've done it in a MBA class on M&A or something like that, bull. Okay, and go to the developer tab, record a little macro, and for that macro, just say, okay, I'm going to do exactly what we did. I'm going to go up here and copy and paste special as values, computed to fixed, and then we go to difference. And once you've made that macro, you stop it, and then you take that macro and you look at this macro, and you've got to save it in a macro enabled file, and you press edit, and it says go to J46. Now what you should do here is, if it's J46, that J46, what you can do is take this whole thing away and just put up here a square bracket and go and get the computed. Okay, and so you copy that, and then you go to get the fixed. Okay, and then you copy and paste special, and you go around, and the trick is you put do while, and then you put a difference is not equal to 0. I hope I spelled everything right. Computed, fixed, and then you go down here and put loop. Okay, and then you can put your little stupid little copy and paste and say, oh, model optimizer. I like to call it copy and paste because I hate these copy paste things so badly, but we need to know how to do it. And you press OK, and here it says button 200, copy, paste, P-A-S-T, okay. Well, it's got 2 S's and a no Y. Okay, let's run it. There, it resolved, and we've got our funding needs. And now if we go all the way down to the IRR, we've got a miserable old IRR of 6%, which is not surprising, unless, this OPEX was monthly, and then we multiplied that by 12, we divided by 2, we financed half of the stuff, so I think this is okay. And I'll call this a semi-annual, and I'll put this on the website in the interview exams. And we got to save it as a macro enabled file. And I'm sorry you had to do this. So this was an asinine test. It really was. But you have to know this kind of stuff. I guess they're testing whether you've done this sort of stuff before, and you can reformat it and bullshit about taxes a little bit and all that stuff. And that's enough of this video. Okay.